Hey guys, this is Frozen Things Studios here, and welcome back to another movie review. And today I'm gonna be doing a review on Nimona. So Nimona came out a few days ago and is the newest Netflix animated flick directed by Nick Bruno and Tony Kwane, if I pronounce his name right. They both previously directed my personal favorite Blue Sky movie, Spies in Disguise, and it stars Chloe Grace Moretz, Riz Ahmed, Eugene Lee Yang, Francis Conroy, Lorraine Toussaint, Beck Bennett, etc. And so the film tells a story taking place in a futuristic medieval world where a knight named Ballister Boltheart is just about to be promoted as the new knight, and but then suddenly he's being framed for murdering the queen during the ceremony, and after after the world witnesses that event where he quote unquote accidentally kills the queen. I mean, accidentally quote unquote kills the queen. The world is now after him, and then comes this shapeshifter, super villain named the Nimona, who wants to be Ballister's sidekick, and they both must team up to be able to prove Ballister's innocence while trying to get away from those who are after Ballister, and and then while they both must get away from the people after him, they must also find out who is behind the murder of the queen's in order for Bannister to clear his name. So I think we're all familiar with the history of Nimona. It was originally supposed to be a Blue Sky Studios movie until they were shut down by it. Yeah, this was supposed to be the final Blue Sky film, and it was set to release in January 14, 2022. Yep, aka my birthday month. My birthday, my 18th birthday, and I was actually excited for this movie ever since this movie was first announced. So back in 2019, I believe 2019, aka the same year oops, sorry if you heard that, but you heard that background noise, but yeah. Anyways, back in 2019, aka the same year, I discovered that they were making the Mona movie in Blue Sky and Disney. I actually read the some of my classmates were doing this charity project, and where they were selling things, and one of the things they sold is Nimona, and then I didn't really buy the book, but I rented the book, and I was like, and the front cover, it looks really cool, and I was so curious to check out what that book is, and I read it. I was like, wow. I was like, wow, this is actually amazing. And then, like a few months after, I believe, I found out that they were going to make a Nimona movie. And it was the movie that followed Spice in Disguise. Not only was Nimona like a Nimona movie happening, but it was supposed to come out on my birthday. So it would have been a real treat to see this movie come out on my birthday. But at the very least, we got a movie. We got the masterpiece. We got a masterpiece movie on my birthday. That is Scream 5, which I still love and defend that movie to this day. In fact, I'm willing to rewatch it at some point in time to see how well it holds up. And I'm starting to think about putting it in my top 10 favorite movies 2022. And I mean like very high, like considering how much of a Scream fanboy I am. Even though Scream 6 will always be better in my opinion. But anyway, I know I might have gone off topic, but I mean I'm just talking about the movies coming on my birthday last year. It was supposed to be Nimona, and this would have been the greatest January movie. And if this movie was released by Blue Sky, this could have been the greatest Blue Sky movie. And I'm sure you know what happened with Blue Sky. They got shut down. They got shut down, and it sucks. And then a lot of people were hating on Disney. I mean, it reached a point where Disney started getting so much hate and backlash, and they started to realize that Disney is doomed. But yeah, but I feel like people kind of misunderstand the whole thing about Blue Sky getting shut down. It was not Disney's fault. yes, Disney did shut down Blue Sky, but it wasn't because of their greed, or because Blue Sky is not making enough money, so we should shut them down. It's not because of Spice in Disguise flop, which by the way, Spice in Disguise did not deserve the flop. Thanks a lot, Rise of Skywalker. Um, I will review Spice in Disguise at some point, but I'm very sure it's not because of Disney's greed. Because why would Disney shut down Blue Sky? Why would the Disney shut down Blue Sky just for money? I mean, that is illogical and it makes no sense. I'm very sure the reason why Blue Sky got shut down is because of the pandemic. I feel like I'm not exactly sure why Blue Sky shut down, but I'm very sure the pandemic had something to do with it. And I do know that there was a lot of another reason um, why Blue Sky shut down is mainly because of the of just this financial issues. There was a financial battles like yeah it has something to do with finance troubles due to the pandemic. I'm sure you know how the pandemic has affected the finances in movie studio, a lot of movie studios. So we should all blame the pandemic, not Disney. And I feel like the Disney's shutting down Blue Sky has affected them as you know, Disney movies are constantly getting hate, and they're constantly just losing so much money. Like they're almost losing one. They lost almost $1 billion at the box office. Yeah, how unbelievable is that? Unbelievable is that. Now I'm upset about Blue Sky getting shut down, but I'm not mad at Disney unlike other people were. It's the pandemic I put the blame on. Now I know you might say, oh, but you're just protecting Disney. It's clearly their fault, but it's clearly due to financial issues. But then like last year, I don't exactly remember when this was announced. I think January 2022. Yep, the same month that this movie was supposed to come out in theaters, they announced Nimona is coming back. Yep, they were going to the Netflix and Annapurna Studios, the same studio that made the underrated Gemini's Sausage Party, picked up this movie and decided to actually make it happen. Especially when it comes to these fans with the hashtag Save Nimona the trend has been going on all over the internet. Yep, it actually exists. And it actually exists, and I was so happy about that. Heck, I even I even went as far as calling this my most anticipated movie of all time. Yep, and I mean all time. Now, I will admit that later on, I eventually realized that I might have overhyped this movie. I feel like I might have given this movie too hype. Maybe it wasn't gonna be as good. I kind of lowered my expectations for this a bit, mainly because we haven't really heard anything about this, and I feel like the marketing is just eh. The teaser trailer was alright, but it wasn't that good. It was just good, but not good. The official trailer, though, that was when I gained my hype back for this movie. I became a lot more hyped for this movie, um, and and yeah, and I kind of feel regret not adding this in my top 10 most anticipated movies of the year. I don't even think I added it even in my honorable mentions, which is sad. Yeah. So, so yes, I have been waiting for this movie for like almost 3 or almost 4 years now. I'll say 3.5. But then yeah, it just came out recently, and I finally got to witness it. Got to witness it, and after seeing Nimona for myself, I gotta tell you all, it absolutely lived up to the hype. I loved the Nimona. I thought it was amazing, and yeah, it was just so good. Like, and it was absolutely perfect. This was such a way of honoring Blue Sky Studios' legacy, and yeah, and especially when we got a film last year that ruin the Blue Sky's legacy by just doing something that Blue Sky wouldn't do. Make a goddamn Ice Age 6, yeah, with the Adventures of Buckwell, which is one of the worst Disney movies, right up there with Artemis Fowl. If I remember when I said Peter Pan and Wendy was my second worst Disney movie, well, I take that back. I think Buck Wild is the true second worst Disney movie. Nothing will beat Artemis Fowl as the black sheep of Disney, but Buck Wild is close, and it would certainly be much higher in my worst movies of 2022 list. Like, I think it might even be a high contender for my number one worst movie of last year, but I'll have to rethink about that one. But yeah, but as far as Buckwell was a disgrace to Disney's legacy, Nimona is the complete opposite of Buckwell. It honors Blue Sky by actually finishing what they started. And not only did they revive Nimona, but they even used some of they even used 75% of what Blue Sky finished, and then the 25% of it was just Netflix doing their own thing. Netflix just adding in what could have finished. Yeah, but so this is technically kind of a Blue Sky movie, Blue Sky Studios movie, and if this movie actually if this was a legit Blue Sky movie, let's pretend it is. I think this would have been the single greatest Blue Sky movie ever made. Period, and no other Blue Sky movie comes close. Blue Sky hasn't really made a legit perfect movie yet. Even their best film, Spice in Disguise, does have some flaws to it. Yeah. Like the kind of generic villain and stuff. And some comedy involved in some. But other than that, yeah. It is close to being perfect, but yeah, Blue Sky was not really one of my favorite studios. Was not really one. So yeah, I feel like people take that a little too far. I don't think Blue Sky was like the best studio. But yeah, whatever. But I mean, ever since I heard that the Nimona movie was coming out, I actually knew that this was going to be the best, the magnum opus of Blue Sky, and it really is. And this movie is pretty much almost exactly, if not better, than what I predicted it was going to be. That's going to be. So yeah, let's talk about everything I love about this movie. First, I'll start off with the characters and the voice cast. So I'll start by saying that I am a massive fan of Chloe Grace Moretz. She is one of my celebrity crushes, and I love most of her performances. And she would be in my top 10 favorite actresses of all time. Yep, I'm going that far. Maybe she is lower on the list, but she's still an amazing actress. Like an amazing actress. And I was happy to see that she was in this film, voicing the title character, Nimona. And yeah, and I gotta say, she did an amazing job playing easily the best character of the film. The best character of the film. Nimona was such an amazing character. I think she is my favorite character. I love her energy to it, and her just being a super villain while just being like a lot of fun. And we've seen some movies where the super villain movies where the main character is a super villain but not really a antagonist, a protagonistic super villain Gru and Mega Man. But I will personally say that the Nimona is better than both Gru and Mega Man combined, in my personal opinion. And Chloe Grace and this is probably Chloe Grace Moretz's best voice acting. She's been in some animated movies before, but I think this is her best performance when it comes to animated movies. Best performance overall. Nah, I would still say that still goes to Isabel in Hugo, which, by the way, I'm gonna be reviewing Hugo this year since there is a new Scorsese movie coming out. And some people who know me would know that Hugo is my favorite movie from Scorsese. So Isabel would be my personal favorite. Chloe Grace Moretz's role, and also her performance in Peripheral as well, which is I think is her most mature performance yet. Yeah, it's also right up there, but I would rank Nimona at number three. Yeah, yeah, number three, and then we got Bannister, Bolter Bannister, who is the knight being framed, and is also kind of a main character. Riz Ahmed gives us such a great performance, voice work as him, and I think it's one of him. I think this is the best movie he started, even though my personal favorite performance from him would be in Rogue One, but this is right up there. You know what? I think that maybe this is probably his best performance, in my opinion. But either this or Rogue One is his best movie started. We'll see about that. But I really liked his character, and you really root for him to be able to clear his name because we all know he's framed, but considering how much of a well written character he is actually really good. I mean, and you actually root for him to be able to win against the people who basically turn against him for quote unquote killing the queen. And then there were some other characters as well I really loved. Like Bannister's boyfriend. Is he again? Maybe hold up. Like Bannister's boyfriend, Ambrosius Golden Loin, Ambrosius, which yeah was probably a top tier character. It's such an amazing character, and amazing character the Bannister, and also I gotta mention as well the LGBTQ representation in this movie is perfect. And I'm sure you probably know how much LGBTQ representation in movies causes a controversy. Even Across the Spider-Verse has controversy for using the protect the trans kids trans flag and all that stuff. But all I gotta say with this film, thank God there is no controversy. Thank God for that. I am just sick and tired of these LGBTQ just having backlash and controversy. Considering that Nimona was meant to be an LGBTQ was meant to be an LGBTQ movie have an LGBTQ storyline where Bannister is gay. This would have caused some controversy. Heck, there was even a straight up gay kiss at the end of the movie. And that didn't bother anyone at all. Thank you for that. Thank you all for that. Giving this movie some controversy for its LGBTQ. I mean, about time we actually respect LGBTQ put into movies. And I hope people would continue to give LGBTQ representation in movies some respect instead of just just bashing it. And yes, and yeah, what else is there to say? And then we got the twist villain of the movie, the director, who is one of the best twist villains in movies, in my opinion. And I love that director. Yeah, maybe there were some better twist villains out there. I still think Bellwether from Zootopia would still be my personal favorite twist villain. And also Quinn Bailey from Scream 6 as well. Actually, Quinn is my true favorite twist villain in movies, but I mean the director. I mean I actually did not see that comment at all. Like I didn't think that she would be the one responsible for killing the queen. But it actually makes sense to choose the director out of all of them. It actually does make a lot of sense. Make a lot of sense. And yeah. Besides those four, some of the other characters were just good but not great. Todd can be a little annoying times, but that's not really much of a flaw. I mean, he's still a great character. Like he was only annoying in like the beginning of the movie, but the rest of the movie he's actually pretty good. And despite the very little screen time of the queen, I mean she's still good, and she kind of reminded me of Queen Ramonda from the Black Panther duology in some ways. But yeah, enough in the character talk. There's still other things to praise about this movie, like the story. Yeah, let's talk about the story. So yes, I will admit though, we all have probably heard of the story before. The story about a character who was framed for a crime he didn't commit, and must prove his innocence and to clear his name, and then the real villain is out there to set him up. Yes, that may sound like a done to death story that was done like hundreds of times in movies, but here's the thing: this movie was just well executed, and I think it did it better than pretty much any other movie like that was about the main character being framed for a crime and must clear his name. Those kind of plots. This one did it the best, and this one did it the best, and I really one of the things as to why this movie was well executed with a story that isn't the most original is because it's because of how deep and mature it was. You all probably know I look for those things in an animated movie, and Nimona is certainly no exception to that. It is a very deep and mature story. Deep and mature story that does a lot more than just that story that sounds generic on paper, but it's actually not generic at all. And I want to mention this movie is also really dark as well. Like especially with the Nimona being like kind of a monster. You may see like some jump scares. Some jump scares with a character. Like I didn't get jump scares, but I think there's certain some scenes that would frighten kids. And even the climax, the final battle is absolutely dark, and it's absolutely dark and ballsy. Like especially when this giant monster, which is actually Nimona, like she literally turns into a monster out of her anger and threatens the city. Well, we got like so many things going after her, like fighting against her and all that stuff. And yeah, I love that. And even with the Nimona around, this movie is also the story is also unpredictable. Which unpredictable. And yes, this movie is all around unpredictable. There was a lot of scenes that I did not see coming. I was like, whoa, I didn't see it coming. Like for example, there was a scene where the director's like after revealing her true colors, stabs that guy Ambrosius, like as if like he was gonna get killed off. I was like, oh my god, like, did they actually explain? And yes, by the way, there is actually some animated violence in this movie as well. So it's not entirely a kids movie. It's one of those movies that everyone can watch. That everyone can watch, and like there was a scene when Nimona just draws her just stabbing people and just goring it. Yeah, that was insane. Like this feels kind of like a teen animated movie geared for teens, but yeah. Ambrosius was stabbed, but turns out Ambrosius was actually Nimona in disguise. How shocking is that? Like, and she didn't even get hurt at all. Yeah, that's pretty much the thing that makes Nimona stand out from the other characters. Considering that she's a shapeshifter, there are like so many twists that you can see coming. Like the one I just mentioned, where where Ambrosius actually turned out to be Nimona in disguise. Great twist right there. And I didn't even think the director would be a twist villain. I didn't see it coming, like when I mentioned earlier. But again, it does make sense. And the story is not only ends there. Is that it gets really emotional. Like the more the movie progresses, the more dark it gets. The darker it gets, and the deeper the story goes. It goes from a little more safe in the beginning all the way to just darkness as the movie goes along. Like for example, with this scene where the Boda is a kid. And by the way, I actually prefer Kid Boda over Teen Nimona, like present day Nimona. The scene with Nimona in the flashbacks is my personal favorite scene in the film. Like that was such a beautiful scene, and I actually cried in a moment, like teared up. Basically, it just showed the flashback of Nimona with who I assume is young Ambrosius, but they don't really say it. They don't really say it, but they don't really say it. But he actually also Ambrosius kind of had a bias against Nimona and made her out to be the one responsible for killing the queen, mainly because of his bias against the Nimona. Nimona and Nimona and Ambrosius, as their young selves, really had this beautiful life, and we even see Nimona like hanging out with the animals, like when she turned into a bird, to be friends with the bird and other animals, and how she actually heard a voice, which by the way, is just beautiful. The music in that entire scene is just absolutely beautiful, absolutely beautiful, and yeah, and then we also see like how people discovered that the Mona is actually a quote unquote monster where she turns into a bear, and then they all like try to attack her, which was kind of a reference, which kind of gave me vibes of a Brave, the underrated Pixar gem. And speaking of references, like there's a scene where they made a reference to Frozen 2, specifically where Baxter mentioned the Enchanted Forest. I'll probably upload that clip after I upload this review. I'll upload a clip of it if I can find one. But yeah, they did make a Frozen 2 reference. And I was like smiling when I was like when he mentioned when Baxter made that the Frozen 2 reference. Like it was amazing. What should I say? Oh yeah, and also another scene that I found was emotional was when Bannister calmed down the monster that is actually Nimona. When Nimona turned into a giant monster, we see Bannister trying to calm her down and turn into Nimona's original self. That was a beautiful scene. And I also teared up in that scene as well. Not as much as the flashback scene, but yeah, it was just beautiful as well. Beautiful as well. And yeah, and even like there was a shocking part in the movie that I was like, whoa, I didn't like see that coming. Another scene of unpredictability was when Nimona pretty much went after the directors to defeat her, and she literally sacrificed herself to just defeat her, and she kind of like almost killed herself like in that one scene, and you may have thought that Nimona you may have thought that Nimona, just straight up kill herself, but actually she didn't really die. Like as she thankfully was revealed to be alive in the end. I was so worried that they actually would have like killed off Nimona. But thankfully she was revealed to be still alive in the end. And and I cannot end this review of I cannot like end my review of this movie without mentioning the animation. Wow. Like looking at this animation, it makes me wonder how come this movie didn't release in theaters. Like I know some people were able to see this a limited show in theaters. Like I know Anima did, but like this should have been a legit theatrical movie, and I would have certainly saw this in theaters. But yeah, the animation in this movie is absolutely beautiful. Like, um, it's another one of those comic book style animations. I know people are gonna say, I know people are saying, oh, it looks like Spider Verse again, but to be honest, guys, I actually don't really agree that about this looking like a Spider Verse. I don't agree with this looking like Spider Verse. I think it looks more like Arcane, which technically Arcane is kind of Spider Verse, but Arcane is a little bit like Spider Verse, but most of the time it just does its own thing. Yeah, the character designs in this movie kind of remind me of Arcane in a way, and there are times when this movie gave me Arcane vibes, which Arcane is my favorite anime show of all time. One of these days I should do a full review on Arcane and explain to you why it's a masterpiece. And yeah, I'm getting impatient for Netflix to announce the season 2, by the way. But yeah, the animation is gorgeous. It's just so colorful, so energetic, so vibrant. It's so creative. Not only does it have the 2D and 3D comic book style mix, but it actually experiments with other animation styles as well. Like Like there's a scene where Nimona tells Bannister about his backstory in the subway, and we see like such like incredible hand drawn 2D animation, like an animation style that we've never seen before. That sequence absolutely blew me away. That sequence absolutely blew me away. I was like, whoa, how did they do that in the animation? Like, well, that is a next level animation right there. And but I think probably the standout of the animation is the background. So it was so beautiful, like especially with the whole concept of futuristic medieval where they take pretty much the typical medieval era and but put futuristic stuff in it. So it's like the past and future mashed into one, and I absolutely love the concept. It's just and it looks like a world where I would actually live in, and even the world building is one of my favorite aspects of the film. The world building is just top notch, and it really convinced me that I wish I live in that world. That I live in the world. If I want to live in the medieval times, I would simply live in this one with the futuristic medieval stuff. So yeah. So overall, Nimona is I wouldn't say it's a perfect movie, like perfect. Since I do have a few nitpicks in mind, but I would say it is a flawless masterpiece. Nimona is one of the greatest. Is a high contender for my top 10 animated films. I'm not sure if I would go as far as putting it there. I'll have to think about it, but certainly top 20. This is actually a perfect way to honor Blue Sky's legacy by actually doing what fans wanted, by actually making their final film come true and making it this good. It is deep, mature, while being fun, while just being entertaining and even action packed. Action packed. Yeah, I forgot to mention this movie has so much action and every single action scene is amazing. With the final battle being my personal favorite because of how massive and intense it was. Intense it was. Yeah, this is easily in my top 10 favorite movies of the year so far. I'm not sure if I would if it would make my top 10 favorite movies of the year for the like at the end of the year, but if it doesn't, then it will 1,000,000% be an honorable mention. Like honorable mention. As far as rankings go with animated movies, well, of course, it's Noah Across the Spider-Verse. That's still the magnum opus of animation in this year. But and I and I actually prefer Elemental slightly more. But this and Elemental go back and back for me. But I just think that Elemental feels a little more mature, and I'm just more of a Disney fan than an FX. And I'm just more of a Disney fan. I'm just a Disney fan, boy. So yeah, but it actually went back and forth. It goes back and forth. I think both this and Elemental are on par with each other. So it'll go back and forth to which one I prefer, maybe. But right now, I actually made up my mind, and I do prefer Elemental slightly more. Because not only that, but I think this movie deeply affected me more. Was made more of a bigger impact than Elemental did. No, I mean, Elemental made more of a bigger impact to me than Nimona did. Even though Nimona is technically the better made movie. So yeah, this will be my third favorite animated film of the year thus far. And I'll say that this is my second favorite Netflix movie of the year. My favorite Netflix animated movie of all time, second only behind Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. And yes, I think this movie is even better than Mitchell's vs. the Machines. So with that said, I'm gonna give Nimona, of course, a 10 out of 10. Please go watch this movie and go support this movie. It definitely deserves your support. So that's all for my review of Nimona. What is your opinion of this movie? I'm sure most people will say it's a masterpiece. Or do you have other thoughts about this movie than me? Like some interesting take about it. Or have you not seen this movie yet? If you haven't, then go watch it. That's your homework after watching this review. Go watch this movie. Comment down below, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and stay tuned for my review of the Mission Impossible franchise leading up to Dead Reckoning Part 1, as well as my review of Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. So yeah, bye guys.